I'm Thanos. Today I'm gonna tell you the story of the Dark Quarter. The game is now on Kickstarter and you can find the link down below in the description, along with a link to our giveaway where you can win a pledge of the game. Also, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel so you can help us grow and create more videos like this. Well, today we're going to New Orleans to investigate some vicious crimes spiced up with a touch of supernatural forces. We're the elite of the private investigators of the Beaumont Agency, able to solve cases that no one else can. So, let's dive into the box and see what's hiding inside. Welcome to New Orleans, Louisiana, circa 1980, a vibrant city of music, food and magic. Neon lights flicker in dirty puddles on Bourbon Street, the innovations of the modern world clash with ancient and terrible traditions, and murder is never simple. The Beaumont Agency, staffed with a roster of brilliant, colorful and ultimately flawed private investigators, specializes in solving cases that no one else can crack. Players each take control of a Beaumont agent and work alongside one another to solve the worst crimes that New Orleans has to offer. It's a world full of magic, where hexing curses are sold on every street, where voodoo priestesses and creatures of the night are lurking around every corner, and where even the most mundane crimes have a tinge of supernatural to them. The Dark Quarter is a cooperative digital hybrid adventure game set in a dark fantastical vision of the 80s New Orleans. Through a multi-scenario campaign, it tells a rich, dynamic story and invites players to make critical decisions that will not only affect their characters, but change the direction and course of the story. The characters are not simply avatars easily replaceable from scenario to scenario, instead they are woven into the fabric of the story itself. Their destiny and the destiny of New Orleans are inextricably linked together. Players will investigate their overarching mystery while simultaneously exploring their own unique storylines. Each scenario will present a loose objective that players can cooperatively pursue to reach the scenario's finale. However, interwoven with this core story will be individual goals and objectives specific to each character that only the character themselves can pursue. Although it might not be obvious at first, these isolated character stories will ultimately converge with a core narrative, bringing everything and everyone to an explosive conclusion. Each player will choose one of the 4 characters and can learn more about this character by reading the short introduction presented on the back of its board. Each character has their own personalized set of components and unique abilities, including ways to modify test results, the starting money and experience, and improving skills. In order to use their abilities, players have to unlock them by paying the unlocking cost. Each character has 4 skills: talent, combat, arcane, and charisma that can be improved or degraded throughout the game. Players can use various items during the game: the story items, which are very important to the story, and the consumable items that can help them in their investigation. In addition, these items have an ability at the bottom where it can be proved really helpful at times. In the game, there are several points of interest that the player can interact with. These include NPC markers and miniatures, which stand for non-playable characters, generic points of interest, which are all the other points of interest, and the finale marker, which is the start of the finale. There are 2 types of locations: the city board location, which is represented by a single point of interest marker, and the tile location, which consists of 1 or more tiles with point of interest markers placed on them. There are also location markers that are placed exclusively on the city board. These markers have 2 distinct sides: explored and unexplored. The Beaumont inventory is a place where players can find the story cards and the experience tokens that are obtained throughout the game and are available for all players to use. Players take turns as instructed by the app, passing the device to one another. Each turn has 4 phases. In the first, which is mandatory, the active player refreshes one of the 3 effort dice and makes them available to be used. Then, an optional phase begins, the Unlock Ability Cards phase. Only if unlocked, the ability cards can be used, so the player may unlock any number of ability cards by paying their cost shown on the cards. Then, another optional phase begins, the Scan One Item Card phase, where the active player chooses one item to scan from their inventory or from the Beaumont inventory. The consequences of scanning an item can vary. Most of the time, this will represent examining a piece of evidence more closely. Sometimes it might be more complex interactions in form of events. The next phase is mandatory and is the interact with one point of interest phase. Interacting may cause changes or additions to the city board or tile locations. For example, speaking with an NPC might reveal information about a previously unknown location, which places a new location marker on the city board. So, to interact with the point of interest, choose one from those available on the city board or location tile, move your miniature onto it and tap it in the app. Then move your miniature to the point of interest. The app will describe what happens and provide options on how to react, but depending on your actions, some options may disappear or new ones will be revealed. Even your turn may end as a consequence of your choice. The options you have when interacting with the point of interest are skill tests, scan item cards, various interactions, investigate a crime scene, purchase items. These are questions that you can ask an NPC, and these questions are one of the main ways to obtain new information. When the players ask an NPC a question, they provide a short response. Then the players may coax, intimidate, or drop the subject. If players treat an NPC the wrong way, this may increase their hostility and make them unwilling to talk to any players until they are calmed down. Then there are the skill tests, which are made when you are trying to do something and include talent, combat, arcane, and charisma tests. To make a test, the players roll their main dice and can optionally choose to roll any number of the available effort dice. Other characters present in the same location can participate by giving their own effort dice for the test. The outcome of the dice can be altered by character abilities and consumable cards. To determine the outcome of a test, add up the number of the dice rolled to form a roll total value. For each skill cube on the tested track that is less or equal to the roll total value, the player gains one success. Characters in the same location can help each other and may exchange consumable cards, cooperate on a skill test, and use the abilities of another character. Also, during the game, the players will be offered the chance to make crucial decisions called pivotal choices. These choices are incredibly important and will impact both the character's progression but also the general story. These choices are permanent and irreversible. This reminds me of something. Oh, yes. Life. As players progress with the scenario, they will eventually be presented with the finale point of interest marker. When one player enters the finale, this will trigger it for the entire team. From this point on, the game flow changes and the game enters a more cinematic mode following a chain of events until its conclusion, which will trigger the end of the game. Each scenario is not won or lost. Players will be forced to contend with the choices they made and their actions during the game. Regardless of the outcome of the scenario, they move to the next one. Players will be rewarded with experience points based on their performance. After the finale, all players may upgrade their character skills and unlock new ability cards. Then the app will give players a preview of what to expect concerning the story and the characters. Well, this was my story of the Dark Quarter. Until next time, take care and remember, there is no light without darkness.